and welcome to Homeschool That Works, where we offer practical encouragement for homeschooling families. I'm Marie.
And I'm Keely. And you can find us on YouTube, on Instagram at homeschoolthatworks.com, as well as listen to our podcasts on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Podbean. Hi guys, welcome back. We're excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about our homeschooling styles and the curriculum that each of us are using this year.
And we just got back from hiking, so we had a fun day out in the woods with the kids. So this is what you get.
The wind-blown hair, maybe a little dirt on us, and some leaves.
Yeah,
We
had fun. We had nature sketching, and we saw some woodpeckers, and the kids really loved it.
Yeah, that was a great time, and it's beautiful today. We live in the desert where it's normally very, very hot, and today we have cold, windy weather. Well, cold for us. 88 degrees is cold.
We had to bust out the sweaters because we're not used to this cold front coming through.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I guess I'll just jump into what we use in our family, and this year it is a little bit different than last year. Last year, with many things being closed down, we really honed back on what we were using, and this year we're using a lot more, which is exciting. So our core curriculums that we're using are classical conversations, and then we have the all-in-one homeschool for our language arts and math, and then we're also using some Simply Charlotte Mason for additional studies, kind of like a unit study for hymns, getting a little bit deeper into the Bible. And we're also using some workbooks that I found at Walmart. So pretty basic and straightforward for us, but we're definitely a meshed style for our homeschool.
Yeah, and our homeschool is a lot similar. We're also doing classical conversations. That's going to be kind of like our weekly structure, and I love that it gives us the community aspect of homeschooling, because I think that's important, and the kids absolutely love going every week and just seeing their friends and doing the science and the art and all of that. So if you don't like doing all the science stuff at home, it's worth it to go do it with community. So we've got that going on, and then my son is doing Saxon math. If you've done Saxon before, you know it's a love-hate relationship.
That's true.
It's very thorough, and it's a very solid curriculum, but it's no frills, and it's very repetitive because the goal is mastery. So I kind of scale some things back. We don't do everything in every lesson because I feel if my son has it down, we don't need to spend more time on it. Which is one of the beautiful things about homeschooling is you don't have to do all the things. You get to pick and choose what your kids want to do. So that's for math, and then we're doing all about reading, and I picked up all about spelling.
I've heard good things.
So we're going to try that one, and there's only 24 lessons in the first book. So I think I could do like a lesson a week, or maybe spread it out more. So I don't think it's going to be adding too much to our workload. And then we also have just a lot of great read-alouds. We're going to be going through an actual, it's almost like a Sunday school curriculum.
Okay.
For Bible, we got it from Answers in Genesis, and it's a homeschool tweaked one, so you can do it with your homeschool, but it's almost like a Sunday school curriculum. Yeah, so I don't go into too much depth, but I really like the doctrine that's in there, and it's very solid. So we do the Bible, classical conversations, math and reading, and that's our core curriculum. And everything else that we add around it is, I guess I look at it as extras.
Yeah, supplemental.
Yeah. So you could kind of sum up our homeschooling environment as classical, Charlotte Mason, eclectic, and a lot of interest-led learning.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up my style. We're very Charlotte Mason with a little classical, a lot of unschooling, and we really mesh all the things we like from everything together instead of being strictly I can only be an unschooler, or I can only do classical education.
Yeah.
We really meddled it all together, and that's what works for us, and it's beautiful because while some parts of the classical model don't fit well with my children, parts of that in Charlotte Mason do, like narrating with Charlotte Mason style education and the read alouds of that instead of my children reading always all of the things themselves, doing that with them. That style's been beautiful.
It's very enriching when you can read it together. Because even the little ones, if they don't understand everything, they're still going to grasp some of the concepts. And if they don't even grasp the concepts, they're hearing that vocabulary. Yeah. They're hearing those new words. And so when they get to reading and they come across that word, they're going to say, I've heard that before. So it kind of piques their interest a little bit.
It does. And it's a great bonding time. You're spending time as a family, and your little ones are learning to sit still and attentively listen. So there's
definitely a lot of value in just reading aloud together. Don't underestimate that as part of your curriculum.
That's a huge part of our language arts. Yes, my children have to write and they have to learn how to spell, and they're learning all the basics, you know, what a verb is, what a noun is, how to use them, when to capitalize, where your punctuation goes. Those things are all things they're learning. But read alouds in that time of reading, it's an enrichment to them. And children don't always love having to open a chapter book and read themselves. But there's something about that gathering together and them listening. A shout out to another podcast I listened to would be Read Aloud Revival, and they had some scientists on there that talked about the MRI of the brain when children are read to versus them reading themselves, and it was beautiful. Loved that one, but it encouraged me as a mom to be reading to my children, and that it is not just, well, because they don't want to read themselves, I'm going to read it to them. There was great value for their education in reading to them.
And I listened to that podcast too, and I was like, this is so good, such great content there. So just even picture books, how you can kind of tie that into thinking like a scientist. So, I mean, you can use books, picture books, reading aloud to tie into so many different things. So.
You could almost, I mean, in the younger formative years, get away with fully educating your child off of living books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without having a curriculum, because there is so many books out there that you can open up and they have the value of information that you need.
Just teaching all of those life concepts. And even you can pretty much pick out math concepts, you can pick out science concepts, you can pick out a lot of different concepts through reading together and just spending time thinking about what you read.
And even when they get older, finding living history books where they live through somebody's life that went through that time and they walk through it, and they're grasping these concepts from our classical side that they hear in the timeline of creation to, you know, the end of times. And they'll go, oh, I know where this is, and I remember that, and they tie it all together just by hearing a book read to them.
Yeah, and the history is not something that my kids have been interested in the past. Yeah. Because I think a lot of history resources are really kind of dry and dull. Yeah. So this year we've added our read aloud as Story of the World, and I've heard some really good things about it.
We did attempt Story of the World before. Yeah. Didn't really fit our style, but we know hundreds of families that really recommend it.
And the other one that I've heard, we haven't tried it yet, but is Mystery of History. And I've heard that one comes from a much more Christian standpoint or point of view. So I'm tempted to kind of pick that one up as well. But we're starting to read through the Ancient World one for Story of the World. And it's been really interesting. My son, we're to the part where it's talking about Egyptian history. Oh. And he's into that right now. So he's interested in the battles. And it just said, Upper Egypt battled Lower Egypt. So he's like, Mom, what was that battle like? I'm like, I don't know. Let's go find out. So
and then they're able to tie that classical conversations back in where they're drawing the geography and they're drawing Upper Lower Egypt.
So when we were looking at the Story of the World and reading it, I pulled out the map of Egypt and I'm like, look at this. This is what was in the book. And normally he would not care about geography at all, but he was willing to look at the map because it's tied into something that he liked. So they're not going to be interested in it at first, but if you find what they like and you go with it, it makes them pick it up so much faster. So that's what I love about the interest-led learning part
Yes.
of homeschool is you can make a kid sit down for several hours and try to teach them a concept and they will not get it if they don't care.
Yeah.
But if they're interested in it, they'll pick it up in like 10, 15 minutes.
It's true. Our thinking of history this year, we are really using classical conversations as our core for history, and the timeline cards. We're reading them because they've got good information, but then we're going deeper and we're finding books that tie in with that topic, watching other YouTube videos because there's wealth of knowledge on YouTube when it comes to educational resources that are free.
Right.
And so that's really where we're focusing this year. And then tying art into history and crafting and recreating just those things that are historical and in the past that they can
really
kind of think and have a hands-on or a physical idea of what something would have looked like or felt like. And
absolutely. It gives them a feel of that culture as well and making their world expand because we're not just... Everything isn't just here where we live. There's a whole world out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so much more. And that's the nice part about teaching your children geography from a young age and to map it out, which we didn't do it this year because I need to buy another book, but we've done the Draw the World series where they have drawn Mexico, USA, Europe, and there is something special about teaching your child where everything is on the map. And so when they start hearing of these historical events, they can immediately tie it back to, oh, that was in Egypt. Oh, Byzantine Empire, I know where that is. Fertile Crescent, oh, I remember drawing that. And it gives them a really good idea.
It gives them an idea of
So that's pretty much my style of homeschooling. It is not straightforward. It's not one style. It's really 3 styles meshed together. And it works beautifully for us. And I would encourage you to, if you're having a difficult time with just one maybe traditional style of homeschooling or classical and it's not fitting it for your family well, break it up. Try other things. Keep what you like and get rid of what you don't and keep going forward because homeschooling is beautiful when you do that. And it allows you to really enjoy educating your children versus being like, we gotta get the workbook done. This is miserable. Don't let it be that way. Feel freedom in breaking it up and doing what you need to.
Making it tolerable or even enjoyable for yourself is going to make it last so much longer for your kids because if they see you trudging through it, that's not going to be good for them.
It's not an encouragement to them.
If neither of you want to do it, don't do it. Like, find something else.
Yeah,
There's
I agree.
so many options and so many resources. It can almost feel overwhelming, but just try something. And if it doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah, I remember hearing this a
Not a
lot
big
as a
deal.
kid, and I don't know where it came from, but my mom would always tell me, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And it's just that you don't have to just go, this doesn't work, so I quit, or this is too hard, because there are endless options and opportunities for homeschoolers to keep adapting their homeschool life.
Yeah. I mean, if you tried one thing and you thought it didn't fit for your family, maybe it didn't. But that doesn't mean you failed at homeschooling.
No,
it
not
means
at
there's
all.
just other options that you are now able to try.
Absolutely. And I will link in the comments all of the different curriculums that we use so you can check them out for yourself and see if they would be a fit for your family. But the other thing we want to kind of touch on today is giving yourself grace during your homeschooling season. And I say season because it's really this time of your life, depending on how many kids you have, or if you take summer break, it could be up and down, or it could just be this consistent flow from the time of kindergarten through 12th. And grace is very important to give to yourself and your children in order to get through homeschooling.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you have to come at it from the right viewpoint. And like we've kind of mentioned in previous podcasts, you have to know why you're homeschooling. What is your reason? And when you're feeling overwhelmed, just come back to that. And don't be afraid to take a little break. Don't be afraid to try other things because we all need a little rest sometimes.
Yes.
So give yourself permission to do that. And also that kind of ties in with being able to give yourself permission to change things. You know, you don't have to just be stuck into the one curriculum if it's not working for you. So
yeah, that is part of grace.
Yeah, be okay to be flexible, be okay to change things up, be okay to tell your kids, you know, maybe this isn't for us and let's find something else that works. So that's a huge, huge thing that makes homeschooling more possible and makes it so that you can continue doing it if that's truly where your heart is.
I agree, absolutely. So we don't always deserve the favor of something in life.
Yeah.
But in our homeschool, we have the freedom to give our children grace and to give ourselves grace.
Yeah.
And to have that unmerited favor towards our homeschooling styles, our school schedule, all of that. Because if you don't have the grace and it's just this strict rigidity, you are going to get to the point where you are burnt out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you lose your joy and your love.
And your
for
kids see
homeschooling.
that too. And if you model grace for them, it not only makes them be able to share that grace with others, but it helps them to be more flexible as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes being flexible is not easy.
No, it isn't easy, especially if
a
you
hard
have
thing.
like very organized, structured personality where you like things to always flow a certain way. It's hard to go, it's okay to stop, pause, start over again later. It's not easy to do that.
Some people are very uncomfortable coming out of that box they're in.
As in,
Yeah.
both of us, we're definitely not great about that.
There's a lot of comfort and stability when you have your little schedule and you're right on track and everything.
Check
But
the box.
that also gives a lot of stress and anxiety if you start feeling like you're doing
Yes.
it wrong. So don't be afraid to be flexible. Like, even plan for it. Say, you know what, we're just gonna try this and we're
Doesn't
gonna
work,
see where
it's
it goes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to force it.
I mean, scheduling breaks even into your school season. I love what Classical Conversations does
Yeah.
with 6 weeks on, 1 week off, because it's giving you this respite, and then
Yes.
you're refreshed, and you go back into it. And in that week, we don't even do our school. We just call it like, this is our break,
break.
because they are getting so much information in those 6 weeks periods that it's okay to take those
Yeah.
5 days of
And
school off,
Yeah.
refresh, and then get right back
And
into
you don't
it.
have to be afraid of them forgetting everything,
No.
because they won't.
They won't.
They'll get right back into it when you get back into school. And I also love that they give you such a long break for
Yes.
the holidays, because you want to be able to enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes.
And there's so much stuff that goes on during that time, so it's good to take that break.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of families who are new to the homeschooling world right now. A lot of people are pulling their children out of public schools for one reason or another. And this may be your first season of homeschooling during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And be okay with giving yourself a break in that
Yeah.
time and enriching your children with baking together and learning the
Yeah,
science
so
behind
fun.
baking. There is grace in that as well, because learning does not have to be a workbook or a curriculum. Your child can
Absolutely.
learn from life experiences, and that bonding and the memories that you make in those holidays, and being active with maybe going out and looking at different nature in a different season, or visiting with family and having the fellowship and learning communications and the skills of how to build relationships. Those things are all part of home education, because it's not strictly about curriculum.
Right,
While
absolutely.
curriculum is important
Yeah.
and it is a core part of what we do, you can give yourself grace to just step back and really teach your children to be adults, essentially, because
Yeah.
you're teaching them how to balance life when those things come their way. And the responsibility of cooking and cleaning and
Yeah.
hosting holidays, those are all things that we learn.
And those are things that used to be very commonplace.
Yeah.
We've kind of became so busy as a society that we push those things out of the way. So it's good to kind of get back to those basics.
So to summarize my homeschooling style, I am classical, Charlotte Mason, and unschooling. We don't have any flares of traditional. Those three are what we love. And maybe you'll want to research them some for yourselves. The community that we're a part of is called Classical Conversations. And not that this is a plug for them, but they do have communities all over the world that you can join.
Yeah, and we are very similar in our styles. I think we're both doing the classical conversations, and I do a lot of interest-led learning with my kiddos because they have interest in so many things. We also do Charlotte Mason because we love the read alouds
Yes.
and the living books and all of that quality literature. So interest learn can kind of be, I guess, fall into
Unschooling a little
as
bit.
well. So overall, I guess we're very eclectic.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't really think that our styles were as similar as they are.
Yeah.
But they are styled the same. We just use different curriculum
Right.
than each other.
Right, and that's totally fine because we have different children.
Yeah,
So-
and they each, like, even for my kids, the only two of them are homeschooled right now, but each of them has a different style that they need in order to learn. It's not one size fits
And now
all.
that Amelia is about 4, I'm seeing that she's going to be learning completely in different ways than Hayden does. So it'll be interesting to see what she does. But yeah, that's kind of like our styles. So why don't you guys let us know down in the comments what your homeschooling style is, or if there's any other styles that you're interested in learning. We could go kind of deeper into different styles in a future podcast if that's something you're interested in.
Oh, you could go in to depth, especially
There's
about
so
classical
many.
and Charlotte Mason.
Yes.
You could spend hours speaking of the riches that are behind those.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of information to get into. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this video was a blessing to you and just hearing all the different styles of education out there. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment, let us know your style, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss another video from us, and we will see you guys next time.
Coming in September, you will officially be getting 2 podcasts a month from us.
Yay!
Woo!